Respected guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all and welcome to the headquarters of the National Open University of Nigeria here in Jabi, Abuja. Welcome to day 2 of activities lined up for the official launch of the International Media and Information Literacy Institute, IMILI. Of course, may I refresh your memories, this particular official launch of IMILI started with events yesterday with the official launch of the institute by no other but the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, who was represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, His Excellency Senator George Akume. Today is Chapter 2, Day 2 of activities for the official launch of this institute. Of course, the business that will dominate today's activities includes a plenary session and speeches from stakeholders. As we begin to look forward to this all-important second day of activities, at this very moment, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I very expressly bring before you some invited guests who are here with us. The Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Mohammed Idris, is represented by the Executive Secretary, Nigerian Press Council, Dr. Dele Izuga. Sir, you're most welcome. Respected ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Maruf Alausa, we're expecting his arrival. Also, the Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tunji. Also joining us here is the Director General of UNESCO, Khalid El Nani, who is represented by the head of Abuja office. Respected ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to have the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Information and National Orientation, Binrem Ukaire, who is represented by Hensho Ogubike, the Director of Public Communications and National Orientation of the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation. Respected ladies and gentlemen, we equally have here a former Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Lai Mohammed. Let me at this very moment recognize the presence of the Vice Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria, Professor Uduma, Oji Uduma, and his principal officers, the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of Administration, Professor Show Adamu, the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of Technology, Innovation and Research, Professor Christine Ofulwe, the Registrar of the University, Mr. Oladipo Ajayi, the Bursar of the University, Malam Nasiru Marafa, and Professor Angela Okpala, the Librarian of the University. Respected ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, may I bring in my colleague, the PRO of the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, to build from this protocol list.
Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Just like my colleague have said, permit me to recognize the presence of the head of UNESCO Abuja office, represented by the head of Communication and Information sector, Ms. Yachat Nuhu. Thank you for joining us this morning. Please, a round of applause for her. Thank you. Also, permit me to recognize the presence of the director of the IMILI Institute, the Institute of Media and Information Literacy, which we've gathered here to celebrate. Please put your hands together for Dr. Sharon Omotosho. Please, a round of applause for her. Permit me to recognize the presence of the Secretary General of the NATCOM UNESCO with us. Please, a round of applause for Dr. Lateef Olagunju. Thank you for coming. Permit me also to recognize very senior directors in the Ministry of Information and National Orientation here with us. Permit me to recognize the Special Assistant to the Honorable Minister of Information on Administration, Dr. Sunday Baba. Please, a round of applause for him. Also, permit me to recognize the presence of one of the key stakeholders, one of the key pioneers of why we're gathered here today, the Deputy Director overseeing the ICT of the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Ifeanyi Okereke. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you for coming. I've also been given a long list of schools that were invited and are here with us this morning. Permit me to recognize the students from the Yakubu Gowon University, that is the University of Abuja. Please, a round of applause for yourselves. Thank you for coming and joining us this morning. Also, we have students from NIL University of Nigeria. Please, a round of applause for them. Also, keep the applause going as we recognize the presence of students from Bayes University. Please, a round of applause for them. Thank you for coming. Bingham University is not left out. They are also here with us this morning. Please, a round of applause for them. Thank you very much. And not just the university students have been invited. We have students from secondary schools here in Abuja. Please, a round of applause for students from Lube International Academy with us this morning. Thank you very much for coming. And last but not the least, we have students from Foliage Academy, CRD Lube, Abuja. Please, a round of applause for them. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much to our distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure having you around here for second day running for the launch of an all-important institute that is all out to counter mis and disinformation around us. In that respect, may I at this juncture invite the Vice Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria, under whose care the institute is housed, for his address of welcome. Professor Uduma, Oji Uduma, sir.
Good morning. Please permit me to stand on the existing protocol. However, it will be a remiss if I fail to acknowledge the immediate past Vice Chancellor of National University of Nigeria, Professor Olufemi Peters. He is not here present, but he's supposed to be here. Because of the way things went, we omitted inviting him. We did not, but our colleagues who were organizing it. It's a big remiss. And I'm making this public because when I see persons who started this process, like the former Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, I feel that other people who played major roles should have also been invited. I am only leveraging on what Professor Peters did before now. IMILI became part of NOUN through his efforts. So I want to put it on record that not inviting him for this occasion is a big omission. I hope our partners should note that. Thank you. On that note, I want to present this welcome address. Permit me to stand on the protocol, because the way the protocol has been going, it will be difficult for you to go without making a mistake. So whatever is the established protocol, let me stand on it. Thank you very much. It is with profound honor, deep gratitude, and a heightened sense of history that I welcome you to the National Open University of Nigeria for day 2 of the official launch and unveiling of the International Media and Information Literacy Institute, IMILI. Yesterday, within the symbolic authority of the State House, a vision was unveiled. Today, within the intellectual sanctuary of this university, that vision takes root. Finding not only a home, but a heartbeat, not only a structure, but a soul. In the language of philosophy, we may say that what was yesterday an idea now begins its journey toward institutional being, a transition from abstraction to actuality, from conception to lived relevance. Let me begin by expressing our sincere appreciation to UNESCO and the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation for the confidence reposed in Nigeria, and more specifically in the National Open University of Nigeria, to host this globally significant institute. This choice was not incidental, it was deliberate, informed by a rigorous evaluation and a clear recognition of institutional capacity, reach, and philosophical alignment. Permit me to say with humility, yet with clarity, that NOUN's emergence as the host of IMILI reflects a long journey of disciplined vision and purposeful labor. Years of deliberate investment in access, innovation, and the steady cultivation of intellectual capacity. This milestone did not rise by happenstance. It is the product of a consistent commitment to excellence and a quiet, determined belief in the transformative power of education. In Aristotelian terms, it represents the gradual actualization of potential enteleke, where an institution grows into the fullness of its purpose through sustained practice and principled direction. In many African traditions, moments of transition in leadership are understood not as occasion for celebration alone, but a solemn call to responsibility and stewardship, a threshold at which vision must give way to sustained, purposeful work. They remind us that the leadership is not measured by the position one occupies, but by the burdens one is prepared to carry and the futures one is willing to shape. For as wisdom teaches, the child who is carried on the back does not know how far the journey is. Leadership, however, must know the distance and must be prepared to walk it. This moment, therefore, is not merely a recognition of what we are. It is a summon to what we must become. It calls us to rise to higher standards, to deepen our impact, and to translate aspiration into enduring intellectual contribution. It challenges us to move beyond promise into performance, beyond potential into proof, and beyond cognition into responsibility. It is, in a deeper philosophical sense, a call to authenticity, to become, in essence and in action, what we profess to be. As an African proverb wisely counsels, the one who is entrusted with the drum must also understand the rhythm of the dance. We have been entrusted with something significant in IMILI. It is now our duty to ensure that its rhythm resonates far beyond these walls, shaping minds, strengthening societies, and advancing the frontiers of knowledge with clarity, integrity, and purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme of this launch, empowering knowledge societies through media and information literacy in the digital age, speaks directly to the existential conditions of our time. For we inhabit an age in which information has become abundant, yet understanding remains scarce. Where connectivity has increased, yet clarity is often diminished. We are confronted with what may be described as an epistemic paradox, the expansion of knowledge without a corresponding deepening of wisdom. We are confronted with a paradox. Never has humanity known so much and yet struggled so deeply with knowing rightly. In the classical philosophical tradition, knowledge, episteme, was always distinguished from opinion, doxa. Our present challenge is that the boundary between the two is increasingly blurred, often by the very technologies designed to enhance access. In such a world, media and information literacy is no longer an academic accessory. It is the very grammar of responsible existence. It is the discipline which teaches the mind not merely to receive, but to question, not merely to consume, but to interpret, not merely to react, but to reason. It restores to the human person the capacity for critical autonomy, the ability to stand intellectually on one's own feet. As African proverb reminds us that the one who asks questions does not lose his way. Media and information literacy institutionalizes that wisdom. It equips individuals with the courage to question, the discipline to verify, and the insight to discern truth from distortion. It cultivates what philosophers might call epistemic virtue, habits of mind that incline one toward truth, coherence, and intellectual responsibility. The digital age has altered not only how we access information, but how reality itself is perceived. Algorithms now curate experience. Narratives compete with facts. Visibility often masquerades as validity. In such an environment, the untrained mind is vulnerable, not for lack of information, but for lack of discernment. To be uninformed today is not the greatest danger, but to be misinformed is far more perilous. This is why IMILI matters. It is not simply an institute, it's an intellectual defense system. It is a safeguard against manipulation, a platform for critical engagement, and a beacon for epistemic integrity. It stands at the intersection of knowledge and responsibility, reminding us that information without ethics can become a tool of distortion rather than enlightenment. And this is why its location here at NOUN is both appropriate and strategic. As African leading open distance learning institution, we are built on the philosophy that education must not be confined by walls, privilege, or proximity. We have demonstrated consistently that learning can be scaled without being diluted, that access can coexist with excellence, and that technology, when guided by peoples, can democratize knowledge in unprecedented ways. In philosophical terms, we seek not merely to expand access, but to deepen understanding, to move from quantity of knowledge to quality of insight. With our extensive networks of learners across Nigeria and beyond, NOUN represents not merely a university, but a movement committed to the expansion of human possibility through education. It is a living expression of the belief that knowledge, when rightly structured, is emancipatory. It is within this expansive ecosystem that IMILI will find not only residence, but resonance. What is conceived here will travel far beyond these walls. It will enter classrooms without borders, communities without privilege, and minds hungry for clarity. It will shape curricula, inform policy, and empower citizens, not in abstraction, but in lived reality. It will serve as a bridge between knowledge and society, between theory and practice, between information and wisdom. There is another African wisdom that teaches us that a river that forgets its source will soon run dry. As we advance in the digital age, we must remain anchored in truth, in ethics, and in the enduring value that sustain human flourishing. IMILI offers us that anchor, reminding us that progress without grounding is instability, and innovation without integrity is risk. Permit me to also observe that the struggle we engage today is not merely intellectual, it is moral. It is a struggle for truth in an age of distortion, for integrity in a climate of manipulation, for clarity in a world increasingly clouded by noise. It is, in essence, a struggle for the soul of the knowledge of society. NOUN is ready to stand at the forefront of this struggle. We will provide academic leadership, deepen research, and deploy our technological platforms to ensure that IMILI does not become symbolic, but transformative. We will work to ensure that media and information literacy becomes embedded, not only in policy documents, but in the consciousness of our people, shaping how individuals think, decide, and act. Distinguished guests, there is a profound African insight which says, when there is no enemy within, the enemies outside cannot harm you. The greatest defense against misinformation is not censorship. It is an enlightened mind. IMILI is designed to build such minds that are reflective, critical, ethical, and resilient. Today, therefore, is not an end, it is a beginning of a global intellectual movement rooted in critical inquiry, ethical engagement, and shared responsibility. A beginning of a renewed commitment to truth as a public good and knowledge as a shared human inheritance. Let this institute become a lighthouse in the storm of information overload, a center of excellence in a time of intellectual fragmentation, and a sanctuary where truth is pursued with rigor and defended with courage. On behalf of the Governing Council, the Senate, staff and students of the National University of Nigeria, I warmly welcome you all once again to our university. May your deliberations be insightful, your engagements meaningful, and your contributions enduring. Welcome to NOUN, where knowledge is not only shared, but shaped, not only assessed, but understood, and where today we proudly host a global beacon for media and information literacy. Thank you.
I think he deserves more than that. We can do better. What a warm welcome remark from no other than a consummate and tested philosopher of international proportion, a professor of logic, and the 6th Vice Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria. As a matter of fact, the only to have emerged from the entire southeast region of the country. Professor Uduma Oji Uduma, you're most welcome, sir. Respected ladies and gentlemen, in the spirit of this official lunch, I would like to invite someone who is very dear and special to the soul of IMILI. Someone who was there at the very start of how the idea was conceived and nurtured. Love him or loathe him, respected ladies and gentlemen, may I invite the immediate past Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Lai Muhammad, for his goodwill message.
Thank you very much. Please, you are going to permit me also to stand on all our existing protocol. A few years ago, I was with some of my grandchildren. We were on vacation in Accra. And one of them said, "Grandpa, did you hear Pa?" And I looked at it and said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Grandpa, it's my face she slapped too." Apparently, it's a siblings. And I said, "Why would you slap her?" And the other one said, "Don't mind, your grandpa, don't mind. Anytime we are eating, she would take all the meat." Then the other girl said, "Grandpa, don't mind them. They don't have no teeth, and you always give me bones. So what I do is I take all the meat." Why have I gone to this story? To say that it's very unfair for you to come and ask me to speak after an erudite scholar like the Vice Chancellor of the NOUN. But be that as it may, I want to thank in particular UNESCO for making our dream come true, and especially for making my dream come true. As Minister of Information and Culture, I spent between 2017 and when I left office, and even now, fighting fake news, disinformation, and misinformation. And I make bold to say that even today, fake news and disinformation are probably the greatest threat to national security and national unity. I think when we say fake news and disinformation are threats to national unity and national security, we're not saying it because we want to play to the gallery. We say because it is real. More often than not, I was misunderstood completely because I still insist today that there must be regulation of the social media. And unregulated social media will bring up problems that would affect our national unity and our national security. And I'm glad to say that when we started this in 2017, I remember I devoted a whole National Council on Information meeting in Jos Plateau State to address the issue of fake news. I thereafter went to a tour of all media houses, asking them to please join us in fighting fake news and disinformation. After which we signed on a few media houses as partners. Regrettably, our critics thought regulation is censorship. No, regulation is not censorship. We now live in a digital era where news travels so fast. And unfortunately, today, the way we share information without even checking for the veracity of it has caused many problems. So I was glad to hear or to listen to, to learn yesterday that the European Commission has found Meta, owners of Instagram, Facebook, liable for not restricting and regulating their platforms and making it available to children because of the inappropriate content they consume on it, because of the grooming, and that if that finding is confirmed, Meta will pay 6% of its global annual revenue. And that is going to run into billions of dollars. Now, I was in the London School of Economics Friday last week, and they had delivered a paper. And I said that the answers saga was driven more by fake news than by what actually happened. During answers, all platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, were all used to actually depict or to say that soldiers went to the toll gate and massacred Nigerians. No. It never happened. Many people died during answers, but not at the toll gate. As a matter of fact, we have it on record that 52 civilians died, 36 soldiers were killed, 36 policemen were killed, 7 soldiers lost their lives, properties were destroyed, but not at the toll gate. The power of fake news is such that once fake news starts, it can never be overtaken. I know that another measure I took, which was not very popular, especially with the Gen Zs and the younger elements, was the suspension of Twitter. We did not suspend Twitter because we wanted to shut down critics. No. We suspended the operations of Twitter because Twitter at that time became the platform of choice for anybody who wanted to destabilize Nigeria. And I said that one of the most difficult decisions I had to take as a minister was actually suspend the operations of Twitter. Because for 2 reasons. I knew that many young Nigerians use Twitter as a platform for their businesses. Many of them were influencers. And of course, I was also worried about the optic that we are restricting democracy and we are probably, limiting freedom of expression. But in anywhere in the world where there's a conflict between private interest and national security will always, take precedence. So because of this, my lifelong romance with fighting fake news, disinformation, you can imagine how glad I am that UNESCO has deemed me fit to set up this institute in Nigeria, the first of it anywhere in the world. And I hope sincerely that this institute would go a long way in helping us to address the issue of fake news and disinformation. Because unlike what many people think, fake news is not just a danger to government. Fake news is also a danger even to ordinary citizens. I'm sure many of you know how many people have been cyberbullied, how many people's marriages have been destroyed over fake news. So fighting fake news is not just about protecting government or just about trying to censor the media. No. Fighting fake news, regulating the social media platforms is not about censorship. It's about having a wholesome way of receiving news. I thank you very much for the opportunity.
I believe we can make the applause a bit louder for the 17th Honorable Minister of Information and Culture. Thank you very much, Alhaji Lang Mohammed. Before we proceed, permit me to recognize the presence of some of our guests that have stepped into the room. Our representative from the French Embassy, we have Colonel Raphael in the house. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you very much for coming. We also have the Director of the United Nations Information Center with us in Nigeria, Mr. Roland Kayanja. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you for coming. While the former Minister of Information was speaking, we're graced with the presence of some of our partners in the Ministry of Information and National Orientation. Permit me to recognize the presence of the President and Chairman of Council of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, Dr. Ike Neliaku, FNIPR. He's also flanked by the Executive Director, Development Specs Academy, Professor Okechukwu, MNI. Also, we have in the house the CEO, Future Now Initiative, and the former Commissioner of Information at Adamawa State, Dr. Ahmed Sajo. Thank you very much. We'll proceed in the goodwill message, even as we receive goodwill message from the Secretary General of the NATCOM UNESCO. Please, a round of applause for Dr. Lateef Olaguju. The applause can be a bit louder, please.
Thank you, our dear anchor. And you have actually laid the protocol, so there will not be need for any repeat, because it has been perfectly laid. I must say, with emphasis, that this journey has been a long one, and we have been part of this process from the beginning till now. So, I must say that in this kind of world, where the entire society is bedeviled by fake news, misinformation and disinformation, threatening the fabric of the society, there is a need for this kind of institute. And when the former Honorable Minister who had just spoken shared this very information with us, we took it up and we started running with it. National Commission for UNESCO is in charge of coordinating all UNESCO activities in Nigeria, and we advise the government on what to do, and we ensure that everything is done according to as the regulation of UNESCO and the UN prescribes. And we began to run. And gladly today, the Institute is here, hosted by the National Open University of Nigeria, under your leadership, sir. Let's celebrate this Nigeria. Now, Nigeria will now become a signature of all eyes. And this institute will be giving the direction on how to actually empower the citizens, how to assess, analyze, and also share information. I want to believe that from now, the whole world will feel the impact of this institute. And I want to also believe that our citizens will be empowered and the society will be better for it. So on behalf of National Commission for UNESCO, with the mandate given to us, we congratulate the Ministry of Information and National Orientation. And I particularly want to also congratulate the former Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed. We were there together in the struggle, and the entire team, led by Dr. Sonny Baba and Mr. Ifeanyi Okereke. And I must say that the National Open University has a lot to do by ensuring that you give the support on behalf of the federal government. Very soon, the news will be flying that National Open University has done a great deal in making this dream come to reality in the entire world. Thank you for coming, and I believe today will be a pleasant day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, another round of applause for Dr. Lateef Olagunju. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we'll climb into the peak of why we're gathered here. This time we'll take the presentation on the International Media and Information Literacy Institute, the strategic plan, and the work program, which will run from 2026 to 2030. And there is no other person better to give us this information than the director of the institute. Please, a round of applause for Dr. Sharon Omotosho. Please, a round of applause for her as she comes forward.
Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I will also adopt the already laid down protocols. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to be taking us through the strategic plan for the International Media and Information Literacy Institute, domiciled at the National Open University campus. And I will not want to bore us with all the 4-year plans, so I will present the 2-year plan, and then we'll go on from there. Today, we gather in portions of the development of media and information literacy, as set out in previous declarations, including the Grunwald Declaration 1982, the Prague Declaration Towards an Information Literate Society, 2003, the Alexandria Proclamation on Information Literacy and Lifelong Learning, 2005, the Fez Declaration on Media and Information Literacy, 2011, the Moscow Declaration on Media and Information Literacy, 2012, the Paris Declaration on Media and Information Literacy in the Digital Age, 2014, the RIHA Recommendation on Media and Information Literacy in a Shifting Media and Information Landscape, 2016, Youth Declaration on Media and Information Literacy, 2016, Kanti-Mansiski Declaration Media and Information Literacy for Building Culture and Open Government 2016, the UNESCO Global Framework for MIL Cities 2018, and SAIL Declaration on Media and Information Literacy for Everyone and by Everyone, a Defense Against Disinfodemics 2020, and Molina Abuja Declaration by the UNESCO MIL Alliance Youth Committee 2022. Among other things, the Abuja Declaration of 2022 commits to support the implementation of a UNESCO International Media and Information Literacy Institute envisioned by partners and announced by Nigeria, including the UNESCO AOC IMILI network, that will further collaboration, advisory, consultancy, and serve as a global observatory on MIL scholarships. Our vision is a media and information literate world, a world that embraces the values of media and information literacy for the future that we want, a world that recognizes empirical evidence of media and information literacy impact on social life and ensures that it is inclusively and sustainably, rightfully accessible to all. Our mission is to strengthen research and cooperation that bolster MIL for all, for a just, peaceful, and sustainable future. Our focus areas. The International Media and Information Literacy Institute is a global observatory institute, monitoring media and information literacy development worldwide to track progress and identify emerging trends in information ecosystems. We are a research and policy hub, driving research excellence and policy innovation to strengthen institutional frameworks globally through evidence-based insight. As a catalyst for collaboration, we shall be fostering capacity building and cross-sector partnerships to scale media literacy initiatives effectively across diverse regions. Our core focus areas for impact will be on research, advancing academic excellence and professional development for education, for educators and policymakers, to build a robust foundation for media literacy. In advocacy and policy, we shall be engaging stakeholders to integrate media and information literacy frameworks into national and international education agendas, ensuring systemic change. In the area of partnerships, we will be building sustainable collaborations and cross-sector alliances to catalyze global media literacy and shared knowledge exchange. Our strategic roadmap. We have the 2-year roadmap on this presentation. In our year 1, which is this current year, the year 2026, we will cover the Institute's launch and global positioning. Gladly, we are all witnessing the launch of the International Media and Information Literacy Institute this morning, of course, like we started yesterday. And beginning with this official launch as a UNESCO Category 2 center, we shall be strategizing for our board meeting and our advisory board meetings. We will be reinforcing our human resource. We will be deepening partnerships, national and international. We will commence programming and MIL-related observances, including the laying of the groundwork for database for media and information literacy curriculum. We will also work on the global media and information literacy monitoring policies. We shall be widening the scope of information integrity, training, and advocacies. And of course, the launch of Global Media and Information Literacy Journal and Research Agenda. In our year 2, which will be 2027, we shall embark on training, advocacy, expansion, and fund mobilization. We will commence our massive open online courses and digital toolkit development. We will roll out media and information literacy certificate programs. We will embark on continental media and information literacy advocacy campaigns. We will deepen government-citizen dialogues, both national and international. We will strengthen fund mobilization. As per monitoring and evaluation, IMILI will adopt a strong monitoring and evaluation and learning framework to track impact using the annual performance and scorecards. The annual tracking of institutional goals to ensure alignment with our strategic vision and operational excellence. We will be measuring the impact and reach of our scholarly output globally through citation metrics and policy citations. We will be monitoring training reach and the effectiveness of our educational programs through participant feedback and skill assessment. We shall be evaluating our influence on global MIL governance and the integration of framework into national agendas. We shall also be benchmarking funding diversity to ensure long-term institutional health and independence. Risk management and sustainability. IMILI will mitigate risks by diversified funding source, securing multiple revenue streams for stability and long-term operational independence through strategic grants and partnerships. We shall be implementing strong governance and oversight to maintain the highest standard of integrity and institutional transparency. We will leverage on strategic partnerships for shared value and collective impact, ensuring initiatives are locally relevant and globally scalable. We shall ensure that continuous capacity development to meet future technological and social challenges in the rapidly evolving digital landscape is also embraced. Future plans. In coming days, we shall be expanding our local footprint. And when I say local, I mean a combination of global and local, so that MIL becomes a trademark for social cohesion and a pillar of the knowledge society, fostering a more informed, resilient, and inclusive world through global cooperation. We beckon to intergovernmental organizations and other global organizations focused on education, communication, and development. We seek bilateral donors, international development agencies, and foreign governments that prioritize education, information integrity, and digital transformation. We call on philanthropic foundations and other similar entities that support media literacy, educational, and peace-building initiatives, even as we also leverage on internally revenue-generating activities. In closing, please remember that IMILI is one of the many outstanding efforts to safeguard societies from the attendant vices of the digital age. To achieve this, all hands must be on deck. Thank you for your attention.
Please, a resounding round of applause for the director. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, if you look at your program, you'll see that we are tilting to the panel conversation. But before we have that, we'll close this session and then we'll proceed on tea break and then reconvene for the panel discussion. But to share us up into our various panel group, permit me to invite Dr. Shei to please join me on stage. He's going to be helping us with there are various panel groups that will be split into three. There are various rooms where these panel sessions will be held. But he's going to show you, he's going to tell us more about the panel discussion. After that, I'll give the announcement on how the tea break will occur, and then we take the group photograph and we call this morning part done. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, the moderator. Good morning once again, very distinguished dignitaries. Well, it is no longer news that disinformation is on the rise. And it is an incontrovertible fact that globally, 85% of young people rely on social media for their news. However, only 2% of young people possess the critical digital skills to be able to evaluate online content, especially news. So IMILI being here is a plus to the world, not only Nigeria, because the purview of IMILI is global, even though it's a baby of Nigeria, but the purview is global. We will be interrogating the key concepts because IMILI is in the university environment, not by accident, but is for a purpose, because it's supposed to be a research hub, an institute that will deepen media and information literacy scholarship. So we are going to begin to interrogate some of these concepts to deepen knowledge about what we've been talking about yesterday. We've received and we've heard a lot of professorial presentations from yesterday to today, of course, as exemplified by our erudite professor, widely cited, the VC of National Open University. Thank you so much, sir. So there are 3 panels. One panel will be domiciled. We'll be having their discussion right inside this room. Then we have 2 upstairs. The first panel from your program, panel 1 and 4 are technically collapsed. So what you have on your program, we now have 3. So we're going to have panel 1, which is 2 on your program. The title of that panel is Engaging Multimedia Partners and Government Parastatals. It will be in room 1 upstairs. Panel 2, which is 3 on the program, is titled Cooperating with Civil Society and MIL Integrated Networks. And that will be in room 2 upstairs. Then panel 3, which is the collapsed 1 and 4, will be here. That is working with academia to bridge MIL research gaps, as well as bridging the private sector and research gaps, or vis-a-vis partnerships. So we have panel 4, which is a merged panel, will be here. So we will, for the panelists, so that you know who you will follow. It's my pleasure. We have, I will be moderating panel 2, so which is 1. I can lead you to panel, to the room 1 when the time comes, immediately after tea break. Then panel 2 will be moderated by Professor Suraj from the University of Lagos. He will lead us to room 2 upstairs. Professor Suraj, I think you can raise your hand, yes. Or maybe you can stand up so that they see you. Then I will be for panel 1, which is 2 on the program. Then Dr. Ganiyat Tijani Adenle, she is on standing from the Lagos State University. She will be in this room moderating panel 4, which is a combined panel. So I guess all of us have the programs, so you know the panel that you would like to be in. Do we all have the programs? Okay, I take it again. That's what I want to say. Yeah. Oh, great. It's projected. So 1 and 4 are one now, have been combined, have been merged, and been in this auditorium. Panel 2 will be in room 1 upstairs. 3 there will be in room 2. Do we get it? Okay. So 1 and 4 stay here. 2, room 1. 3, room 2 upstairs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for putting clarity to that panel discussion. And with that announcement, I think we've come to the end of this opening rites. And this opening rites will give birth to the engagement and discussion that will follow this second day running of the official launch of IMILI. But before we depart from here, I would like to call on my colleague here, who very quickly will be giving some piece of announcements just before we depart.
All right, thank you. All right. We've just been notified that all students are encouraged to stay in the hall because panel 4 is relative to what students go through. So please, all students are advised to please remain in the hall for that panel conversation. But with that said, permit me to just share the following announcement, and then I will invite our dignitaries to come up on stage for a group photograph. The tea break will be coordinated as follows. First off, our dignitaries in front will make their way, the ushers will point the directions towards where the tea breaks will be served. And then after the dignitaries have been attended to, the principal officers from the National Open University will follow suit. After those officers, our team from UNESCO, as well as the team from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation will go next, and then we'll have the staff of National Open University. This is the announcement as I've been provided. Thank you very much. With that said, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, can we please invite our dignitaries to please come up on stage for a group photograph to document this Day 2 event. Thank you very much. Please, the Vice Chancellor, you can lead us. The Honorable Minister's representative, the Permanent Secretary, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, the President Nena Abiaro, the Director of the Institute, the representative of UNESCO Abuja office, and the Secretary General, NATCOM UNESCO. Please join us here. Please, principal officers as well, please join us.